teach you how to get that big Kim K juicy booty. We are going to get a little bit sciencey, but not too sciencey, because I know that can be really boring. So basically, the glutes, that is what your bum is called scientifically. You probably already knew that. If you didn't, then you've been living under a rock. So we have the we have the maximus, the minimus, and the medius, which, hence the names. Maximus is the biggest, maximum. Medius is the middle kid like me. And then we got the minimus, which is the smallest. So these are basically made up of muscle fibres. Basic GCSE science, I don't know if you know, but yeah. Muscle fibres, they break down. They're also known as proteins. So they break down and they rebuild after being put under stress, such as weightlifting. This rebuilding creates muscle growth. Sorry, I'm like starving and then I made a brew. Let's try and fill me up and now I'm like... Okay. So, yeah, muscle fibres, they break down when you weightlift, they rebuild, and then your muscle grows as a result of that, and so does your strength. So in your muscles, you have a 50-50 distribution of muscle fibres. So we've got two types of muscle fibres. We've got type 1, which are slow twitch fibres, and we've got type 2, which are fast twitch fibres. So like I said, 50-50 distribution of slow twitch, 50-50 distribution of fast twitch. Sorry, I meant either side then. So slow twitch fibres tend to respond more to lighter weight and higher reps, and then your fast twitch fibres tend to respond more to higher weight, lower reps. So if we've got a 50-50% distribution of these fibres in our glutes, then we must have to do half and half of exercises that will target these fibres. So we're gonna have to do 50% of our weight training will be lightweight, high reps, and then 50% of it will be heavyweight, low reps. That makes sense? I hope it does. So we have to do a combination of the two. If slow twitch fibres need lightweight, high reps, this calls for like isolation movements such as I nearly said back squats then, that is not an isolation movement. Like cable kickbacks, like glute bridges, like frog pumps, all that kind of stuff. So one that specifically targets one muscle. If fast twitch fibres need heavy weights and lower reps, then obviously this calls for compound movements, which if you don't know, compound movements are an exercise that uses more than one muscle. So things like hip thrusts, things like back squats, front squats, deadlifts, goblet squats, that sort of thing. All of these movements you can go much, much heavier on because you have more muscles involved in the lifting of this weight. Whereas isolation movements, you only have one muscle, probably usually a small muscle, trying to lift all this weight on its own, and therefore we tend not to go as heavy with those sorts of movements. So to reach all 100% of the fibres, we have to combine a workout routine of both isolation movements and compound movements. And that's pretty much the secret to muscle growth. You need to involve both. You can't do just one. I mean, just one will always get you somewhere, but it's not going to get you the full distance. To reach your optimum point, you're going to have to do both, whether you like it or not. Now, a lot of this does include obviously being in a gym, being in the heavyweight section, which tends to be overrun by sweaty, big, muscly men, which can be intimidating for some of us tiny 5'3" women. It was for me. At one point I was terrified. I would not go down there. I was like, I am not going down there, even if it means I don't get the bum that I want. And then one day I was just like, I can't lift 35 kilograms anymore. And then I ended up going downstairs to the weight section, and on the first day, my glute bridge went from 35 kilograms to 180 kilograms. So I'd obviously built up the strength from doing really, really high reps with 35 kilograms, so a low weight. And then when I got downstairs and finally bit the bullet to do the heavy weights on my own, I could already lift 180 kilograms. Look at the state of my hair. Okay. So yeah, so basically my point is just get down there. If you're scared, just make a friend. See another girl that is doing glutes in the gym and be like, hey girl, wanna come downstairs with me? Because I don't want to go on my own. Because that's what I did. And then that didn't work for me, so I ended up getting a personal trainer who showed me the ropes, pretty much. And now I just do it on my own. So yeah, so got some extra tips for you. So one is progressive overload. You probably or maybe know what this already means. Essentially increasing the weight over a period of time. So if you start off your back squat with, I don't know, 20 kilograms, then after 2 weeks time of working out with the 20 kilograms, then you want to increase it by maybe like 5 kilograms. So do 2.5 either side of the barbell, and then you lift in 25 kilograms. And then 2 weeks later, add another 5 on maybe, then you're doing 30 kilograms. So whatever you feel comfortable with. If you wanted to up it by 10 kg, you can do that as well. It's entirely up to how comfortable you feel with obviously lifting the weight. Just don't take huge jumps, because that's how you're going to end up injured. And if you're injured, you're not in the gym. So not good. Okay, so then we also have, oh, that's gonna fall, activation. So I tend to use one of these, ignore how dirty it is, that's lots and lots of horrible gym mats that it's been on. So yeah, so activation exercises. So every time I start a glute workout, I always do activation before. I will not do a glute workout unless I've activated my glutes. It's just pointless. There's no point to me. That's how I see it. I know that some people don't do it at all, and their glutes are great, by all means, but I've had very inactive glutes for a while, and I still struggle with a glute imbalance, so I like to do activation to make sure that both of them are getting involved, both sides are getting involved in the exercises as much as they can. So things like side step squats, pulse squats, kickbacks, donkey kickbacks, straight leg kickbacks, glute bridges with a band. Make sure you just use a band with all of this. You can literally get them on Amazon for really cheap. I'll try and link mine in the description, but I don't know if they'll still be on there because I've had them that long. Yeah, they're really good things. Have a little Google, or I might do a video of my glute activation if anyone wants to see that, what I do for activation. But it just basically allows the muscle to wake up and be like, hello, we're going to work out now, like, let's get involved. Otherwise, your quads can take over in glute exercises because you're doing things like squats, you know, big compound movements, they can take over. Whereas if you do an activation, I feel it way more in my glutes when I'm doing squats rather than my quads. Whereas if I wasn't to activate my quads would just literally be like doing all the work. And then obviously that's of no gain to your glutes whatsoever. And then we have time under tension, which is another key point that I think I should mention. So basically this increases the metabolic stress in the muscle when you're working out, which is one of the key factors for muscle growth. So say you're doing barbell hip thrusts. So you're leaning on a box, this is the box, imagine, this is your shoulders, and then your hips are here, you're going down, up, that sort of thing. Just imagine that's you. So your time under tension then, you could either hold at the top, so when your hips, imagine this is your hips and your bum, at the top you're going to hold and squeeze your glutes together at the top for 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds on the last rep if you want. However hard you want to make it, you can make it hard. You can make it that hard. And then if you wanted to do negatives, you could do the countdown. So when your hips going downwards, you can do 1, 2, 3 down, and then hip thrust up, and then 1, 2, 3 down. negatives they're called, and all of this just increases the time under tension of the muscle, and don't ever underestimate how important the eccentric phase is of an exercise. The eccentric phase is the lowering phase of an exercise. So if you're doing hip thrusts, it's when your hips go down, bicep curls when your arm goes down, that sort of thing. Honestly, there's been so many studies that show that it is literally just as, if not more, important than the actual tension phase. So in a bicep curl, when you lift up, it's just, there's just crazy research on it, just believe me. So yeah, negatives, pauses, amazing stuff. Use them. There's no better way to keep the metabolic stress in your muscle than doing like pauses and things like that. I will make a point about form here. Just make sure before you start lifting really, really heavy and start going crazy that your form is good, because I started trying to lift like 40 kg in a deadlift and doing that with a rounded back, and I ended up with really, really bad lower back pain because of that, and didn't understand why. So then I started to realise that it was actually my form that was not good, and then I started from scratch with a really light weight. I think I started with 20 kg again, and then just got my form on point, and then started upping the weight, and now I feel it like perfect in my glutes, in my back, not my lower back, my shoulders, from pulling the weight up. Finally, I'll just mention something about protein and about food here. I've been seeing a lot of videos saying that you need to be in a surplus, a caloric, Jesus, I don't know how to say it, caloric surplus, sounds so stupid, in order to gain muscle. This is not true at all. If you already have excess body fat, you do not need to be in a surplus. Your body will utilize that fat. It does not need excess energy. The only reason why people do a bulk and do cuts and stuff is when they've been training for a long period of time and they've not got enough body fat to create muscle anymore. Your body, it sends signals to itself. I'm not going to get too science here, but it tells it when it's okay to produce muscle. There's certain parts of your body that will trigger protein synthesis, which is basically the creation of your muscles, the utilization of the protein that you eat in food. Without this, you will not gain muscle. So people think, oh, I need to eat more protein. No. This is true. You should definitely eat more protein. Always eat more protein. But the point is that you don't need to be eating more food or more than what you're burning to be gaining muscle. You just need to give it enough of a stimulus to grow, and you need to provide it with enough protein to grow. If you already have excess body fat, do not eat in a surplus. You don't need to do that. It's for people who have a low body fat percentage that cannot gain any more muscle unless they gain weight. So just bear that in mind. I've seen a lot of misinformation about, and it really annoys me, because now there's people who are already, you know, maybe like 25% body fat, maybe like 30% body fat, that are going to start eating in a surplus, and then they're going to gain fat as well as obviously a little bit of muscle too if they're working out enough, but yeah, they're going to gain fat too and they don't need to, which is really sad, and it can be really, really demotivating. So I hate that people are telling people that. It's really, really bad. And that is all for this video. I think I've covered all of the grounds there, and I hope that it helps at least one person. And yeah, I'm out of breath now. I'm gonna enjoy my brew, and I will see you in the next video.